Welcome to the Digital PR Show. You want the future of marketing and PR? You've come to the right place. We're spilling all the secrets on what it really takes to crush it in PR, digital marketing, and agency life. No jargon and no gatekeeping. Whether you're building a brand, scaling a biz, or just here for the hot takes, we've got you covered. Let's get digital.
We are here with the team from CIPR Communications talking about now conversions. So last time we met with this particular group of people, we had a bit of a chat around digital PR, introducing what it means, kind of how it works. And we wanted to take that conversation further now and talk about conversions. So Haitham, I'm going to start with you on this conversation. Why don't we set it up with respect to tell me a little bit about, from your perspective, what is necessary for, first of all, conversion success for people in general? And then maybe how is that changing in kind of today's digital environment?
All right, that's a really good question to start our discussion with. So obviously time is changing, but the nature of humans, I'll put it like this, does not change. I see all this as human behavior and how our customers are trying to find us. So for us, conversions are ways to capture leads or to capture your customers in order to make whatever intent, put them on your website into either a form that is filled or a call that is received on your phone. Obviously, things are changing because it was not like this previously. Obviously, the older generations were more comfortable into doing communications and talking to people. So a lot of the conversions were not actually being tracked. They were just through finding a phone number and just typing it on their phones or something like that, and then they would end up talking to the business owner or something like that. But now, as technology is moving forward, there's definitely more website interactions going on, which is where our role here comes as experts to try and make that as simple as possible for the viewers of websites and increase the conversion rates. That way we can increase profit.
Nice. I'm curious. One of the things that is a concern, I guess, in the digital marketing space right now is, is AI going to sort of change the game with respect to the amount of traffic that websites are getting? Is Google in trouble? That's a big conversation that's happening. I have some views on that, but maybe I'll maybe bounce it to Christina first and get her views on sort of, do you think that just even reflecting on your own use of AI compared to Google now, like, tell me a little bit about how things have changed just from a personal perspective, and you think that's going to have an impact on digital marketing and conversions.
No, that's it. I mean, for me personally, it's interesting what my habits are personally. And I think we often talk about me as a persona of many of our clients, right? The mom who's organizing the family or whatever it is, mid 30s woman who needs to, organize the lives of multiple people. I definitely use Google still for, I feel like Ethan, what you were touching on, Google a business, or when is it open, or what do people think about that? Like, there is still this need, and I feel like that's where I head for Google on that. I feel like when it comes to all those strange kid questions my kids ask me, all those strange things I need to know, like yesterday when I was baking chicken wings in the oven, if it's at 425, how many minutes do I need to cook these for? Like, that is where I go for ChatGPT now, 100% of the time. And so, when I think about things like that, okay, searching for, whatever the question is from the kids, okay, the coolest place to go see the stars, okay, understanding pieces, and obviously your business, you want to be showing up in those components. But it is interesting to think about that from a lead perspective. I had a conversation with a client this morning too, just around the fact that, they need a process internally to make sure that people are responding to leads coming in from multiple sources. So they have Instagram, where people are sending them direct messages. They have forms on their website where people are creating inquiries. They have an email address, so people are emailing them directly. There's a lot of places where your potential leads are coming from now. And again, me as end user, I may contact a business on Instagram and send them a message if they catch my eye. I might be using the email that's on their Google My Business or their Google Business profile. So again, there's this, Haven, to your point, it used to just be, okay, yellow pages, open it up, phone the number, here you go. Now it's like, this one client I was talking to this morning, completely overwhelmed. It was a call with the marketing agency, the IT, them, multiple people from their team, just because process has fallen down and leads have been missed because they're coming into multiple inboxes, multiple ways. Anyways, it's a wild world. It's a wild world out there.
So what you're kind of referring to is really we're in a very heavy multi-channel world, right? And so we have to be multi-channel. We have to kind of be we have to meet people where they are, right? And we have to sort of figure out where our audience is and meet them where they're at. And what I'll say about website conversions in general is it's interesting when you look at the data and the statistics. It's like, yes, website traffic I think is starting to fall across the board, but actually conversions on websites are actually not falling and potentially increasing. So what's happening is you might go to AI to do the search, the informational search, to do your research, to like learn about the thing. But ultimately, you still need to go to the company's website if you want to buy the thing or if you want to get in touch with a sales agent or whatever. So what it means is we need to start thinking about our content on our websites from a different perspective. And we need to start rebuilding our content from instead of, we used to build all this top of funnel content, which is the awareness type content to get as many eyeballs on our website as possible with the hope of sort of bringing those eyeballs down into conversions over time. Now we basically the AI is going to that's going to handle that. And so now our websites needs to be all about middle and bottom of the funnel content, right? So it's like, okay, the person's here. How do we make this as easy as possible for them? How do we give them the information that they need to like make the decision? How do we answer all their questions, right? So that's kind of, it's changing the game in terms of how we need to think about website content to drive that conversion, because people are now going to come to your website with the goal of converting, right? Fundamentally, that's sort of now instead of going to your website to look for the information, they're going to already have the information. The people are going to have the knowledge already, and now they're going to have picked two or three brands maybe that they want to consider working with. And really, the quality of your information to help them make the sale is now the name of the game, right? Nobody wants to talk to a salesperson. Nobody wants to be sold to. So if your website can answer their questions, satisfy their needs, make them feel trusted and comfortable, they're going to convert, right? Is that sort of maybe Hatham, from your perspective, kind of where you see things going?
Absolutely. Everything you said here, I agree with Peter. And the way I see it is people are going to be more using ChatGPT is just an example, but there are just a lot of tools that are coming up. I'm using ChatGPT because it has already established a name for itself and everybody just uses it for pretty much everything. So when somebody wants to look for a specific service, they would go there and then just ask ChatGPT, where can I find this for a good price? And say, here is my budget and here is what I need. And then ChatGPT would come with recommendations and with sources that could direct those people to your website. So I would call that like a preliminary conversion, because people are going to your website for the sole purpose of actually converting. So ChatGPT is actually, this is ChatGPT just for this example, but it's acting as your salesperson right here. So they're given all your services, pretty much all the products that you are offering, and gives even the URL for them to click on it and just land on your website. So the conversion, once the person lands on your website, is going to be pretty quick because they know what to do. Yeah, so definitely I think that AI is going to add some great value for user experience.
Yeah. And what I'll say about what you just said there, though, Hatham, is that, brands need to do a better job of being pretty transparent, answering people's questions, maybe putting their pricing on their website, all of those types of things, because, people don't have time and patience to click around and they don't want to be sold to. So your website needs to do some heavy lifting in terms of the sale and answering people's questions and getting them down the sales funnel to the point that if they need to talk to a salesperson, it's more like, okay, now I'm ready to give you my order, right? As opposed to, oh, you left me guessing. Because if you have two websites that, one has pricing and one has how to get started and good detailed information and helps the person understand what their journey is going to be, and the other one just has a bunch of vague information and language, guess what? one's going to convert, the other one's going to get bounced, right? So that's sort of just the reality of today's world. Jay, I want to bring it over to you a little bit. And this isn't necessarily a website conversion conversation, but you've been very successful in the last couple of months here, getting conversions in terms of some of the outreach efforts you've been doing and some of the, pitching you've been doing. So why don't you tell us a little bit about kind of, I guess, what you've been doing lately to get the kind of success you've been getting and what you're learning in terms of what's working to make conversion work better.
That's really good because from what Hatham said, because the clarity of each websites that I get, for example, I've done the research for Métis Crossings for the Alberta event planners, and then some of these people have ranges on their prices. Some of them are vague. Some of them are like on like sketchy websites. But when I have this prompt to ChatGPT, he gave me all the recommendations I need, so I know which websites are very active. I know which social media accounts are getting updated every day or maybe once a week. We know that someone is managing everything because ChatGPT has these recommendations. So another one example is that from a podcast perspective, I've been looking into. I'm putting in my search for like, how long is this podcast just don't have an episode for, like, is in 3 months, are they active in the last 3 months? I also put that because some of the podcasts that I have seen and then also searched from an organic level, they are not very active, but then ChatGPT recommends them that you know they ChatGPT could still recommend them if you don't have clarity in terms of your search. So when you ask ChatGPT if these podcasts are like active in the last 3 months, last 2 weeks, and he will give a detailed info about, oh, this episode was put out this day and then last week, so you know that all these are very active. And when a website, when a podcast, when an influencer, when they are active, you'll know that you'll convert them because they are actually putting in the resources. They're actually putting in the time to read your emails, read everything that you send out. So I think that's where the success come from, the validity of leads. And when what I hate about lead gen is that everything, when some of my leads even bounce, even one bounce, it gets me infuriated. But when I use ChatGPT and then also make everything clear for ChatGPT to understand everything what I need, it gives me all the people, it gives me all the companies that are active, and then gives me everything that I need to be successful in terms of my lead gen efforts. So I think that's where it boils to, like, the clarity in searches, and then also uh, put everything that makes sense for ChatGPT so that he will give you no, it will give you uh, it will give you what you need. So yeah.
I was going to ask that because you called your chat GPT a he. Mine is a he too. Peter Hatham, is yours a he, a her, an it? What is yours?
I think an
Mine would
it.
be a her. I have a woman's voice in mine, so yeah.
Hatham's is an it.
Yeah, I think it's an it. But as long as it does the job, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, for sure, yeah.
True.
One of the interesting things that's kind of happening as a result of AI also, from a conversion perspective, which I think is going to really be exciting going forward and something we're digging into a lot. And I think, Jay, probably part of your success is personalization. The ability to be personalized, to do the kind of research you do, to kind of get the data and the insights so that when you're doing your pitch, it's probably a pretty personalized pitch, and it's sort of like
Yeah.
pitching the right person with the right message that makes sense for them is the key, right? At the end of the day, the more we can make it feel personalized, the better it's going to work. And fundamentally, AI tools are going to allow us to personalize on almost a one-to-one level at scale really easily. And I was listening to an interesting audiobook yesterday actually, and they had created this whole technique for basically they created an AI powered chatbot, or like they called it an agent, and it's basically an agent they created for waking up sleepy leads in like your database in your CRM. You know what I mean? And they've created this whole workflow where it's sort of they use first of all SMS messaging. So back to our multimodal kind of being where your clients are, they found SMS messaging to be very successful, and they basically have designed this chatbot or this AI agent, sales agent, to wake up those sleepy leads and start to have conversation with them and warm them up. And so this guy had a fascinating strategy. So we're going to talk about this not online but offline and see if we can test some things on our sleepy leads. But the idea that they kind of came up with, and I'm just going to find it over here in terms of their approach, is let me just find it here. Is they have this methodology. They called it Timer, is the acronym. So how to make an irresistible offer or how to kind of break through for people. And this is again kind of hits on a lot of the things we've been talking about. But so time, how much time is required to do the thing, right? So if it's like this is the challenge we have in digital marketing all the time, right? It's like, oh man, that seems like it's going to take a lot of effort on my end, right? That seems complicated, right? Identity, how does this match up against who I want to be, right? Money, how much will this cost me? Energy, how much effort do I need to put in? And then reputation, how will this make me look in front of my peers? So it's sort of they created this like this framework, and then this AI agent uses this framework. So that's it. Literally will have it'll have automated conversations with people, and it'll overcome objections using that framework, right? And I thought it was brilliant. And so I'm just raising, like, that's just one framework. There's many ways to do this, but I'm raising that in context of, we're also on our websites and other channels. Like, we could talk about now we have abilities to do form fills on social media channels and other places, right? But we're also going to be adding these AI powered sales agents or chatbots that can help have conversations on our behalf with clients and overcome objections and warm up leads. That's a really exciting future from a from a conversions perspective, right? So maybe Haitham, I'm going to throw it to you from that context in terms of the importance of CRMs, the importance of kind of like having your technical infrastructure set up to allow you to even do some of these things and succeed.
Yeah, totally. And I like how you started with chatbots because that was one of the interesting um, posts that I read on LinkedIn, and how it increases your conversions once you have a really good, engaging chatbot on your website that answers all the questions, no matter how silly they might sound to you. But sometimes your customer is just there to test whether your chatbot is actually really smart. So they ask them whatever. So that definitely increases the conversions and the time spent on your website, which helps index your website even more on Google.
Right. And engagement, which also helps index your website on your right. So it's like,
yeah, absolutely. All the clicks, all the scrolls, all the time spent on your website is definitely for your advantage. So as far as CRMs are concerned, well, obviously they play a huge role in tracking all the potential leads, all your customers' journey, pretty much everything that goes on your website, especially when it's set up in the proper way. I can just think right now of a client of ours at CIPR Communications who came up to me yesterday about how his Google Analytics is set up. And if it was not set up with AI modules that we are using just to keep it on in the trend, he wouldn't have known that there is a new policy that is coming up on Europe that asks for the user's consent before they go into the website. So they need to accept that in order for them to actually have a full and clearer journey on his website and have access to pretty much all the services. So the client came back to me and asked me, why did I receive this notification? And then when I went to the backend, it's because we are implementing AI in our Google Analytics. So this part here allows you to stay regulated, indexed, and give the users what they need to get from your website, including their rights, which is their consent. So this is what we're trying to achieve with the CRMs. To Jay's point here about how CRMs can help you through emails and get the leads. Definitely, I see a huge value in whatever we are implementing and whatever is coming in the future from CRMs. We were just last time talking to our friend and partner Rich from VBout, about how emails can actually get you the leads and get you more customers and get you more interest in whatever you're providing. And there's just so much that's going on out there. You can track the clicks, you can track the views, you can track the engagement, the opening, not opening, which is pretty much huge for a business just to stay ahead of the game and keep going and getting the traction that they're looking for. Definitely CRMs is not just emails and tracking the journey and this and that. It's also the SMS, which is part of the VBOT, and which is something that I think is really huge, especially for people who are not really go into their laptops on a daily basis. Like some people just like to get an SMS on their phones. It's just more convenient for them. So I see CRMs as a full suite of how you can target your customers.
Yeah, well, and to the point of VBOT, I mean, one of the things that VBOT has on offer is the ability to actually have form fills in social media through direct message, which is another channel. So really, this conversation and many of the conversations we have at CIPR Communications are about you got to meet people where they're at, right? And so people are spending less time searching websites and looking at stuff. It's like, okay, well, where are they? How do we find them? How do we access them? How do we have conversations with them where they are, right? And so that's a big part of this whole kind of conversions conversation. It's just web conversions on their own is not going to cut it anymore, right? We're in this multimodal world, and I think it's getting complicated, more complicated, not less complicated, right? And so I'm gonna kind of maybe we'll end it with some comments from Christina on that piece. Obviously, the world is getting a lot more complicated, a lot more multimodal, multi-channel. Tell me a little bit about how brands and businesses should sort of think about that world in terms of not blowing their brains out trying to be on everywhere, every possible channel they possibly can be on. How do they sort of make their budget go as far as possible, but actually try to kind of get conversion success?
Oh, that's like a real loaded, loaded question. You guys jump in on this too, but the thing that just kept going through my mind, as both Jay and Haitham were talking, was just process. I mean, at the end of the day, you need process. Again, this client call that I was on earlier today, multiple leads coming in multiple different places, missed a bunch of leads that had come in through one source, thought that there was a great process in place to make sure that we weren't missing those leads. But it comes down to when things are great, we don't double check and we don't, right? When the funnel seems full and when the funnel isn't full and people start to panic, in this particular case, you look back and there were, at least tens of thousands of dollars of leads that kind of went missing because part of the process fell down and someone stopped checking an email. Okay, in a big organization, probably multiple emails are needed, but if someone or something or whatever happens and it breaks, there you go. So again, great process and process when times are good and when times are bad. It's not just process when times are bad. I think is huge. And same with a CRM, right? Like a CRM is only as good as adoption. So making sure everyone's putting the leads in there. That was another conversation we had in terms of, the question I asked was, well, when was the last time? And, this date of 2 months ago came up. And it's like, okay, well, if nobody's in there doing things for the last 2 months, then that data is only good as whatever was inputted 2 months ago. So again, process is huge for me. And then I have always been a huge proponent of this my entire career. It's like you should kick ass on one thing rather than doing 100 things really poorly. Peter, it reminds me of a walk that we went on years and years ago. I remember the sign we saw outside of someone's house, and it had like, contact us online, and it had like every social media icon you could possibly imagine on it, right? It was like there were ones I didn't even know what they were. Like it was like you could find this person anywhere, anytime, any place. And so, the marketer in me, I started Googling him and pulling it up, and like half the channels didn't even have anything, right? And wasn't a good mechanism to contact him. But here he was. My assumption would be made this sign, put all the contact ways because that's what he thought he needed to do, and that's where he was going to put himself out there. Whereas, another client called this morning, we have focused them in exclusively on LinkedIn. We know that that's where their personas likely hang out. They probably hang out more places too, but they're there. And he's committed to it. We're committed to it. Fits in his budget, fits in his timeline, and he's absolutely crushing it on there because we're able to maximize his budget and do really cool things rather than him saying, do 5 things and try to spread the budget thin or, spread my time thin. So again, it's multifaceted process for me, which isn't a surprise to anyone. And then, pick the thing you like and you gravitate to and just do it well.
Nice. Well, that's great. Yeah. So I'm going to wrap it up here, and I'm going to maybe just make a couple comments in my wrap up. A couple things that really kind of come to mind in what you're saying here. First of all, Christina, we've always at CIPR Communications said we're a strategy first agency. And so, really strategy and research and like really understanding your customer is kind of the starting point for all of this, right? Like, so to your point of like, you don't spray and pray. You understand your customer. You understand where your customer hangs out. You understand what your customer needs to be to satisfy them, to help them meet their goals. And then, you focus your efforts on where they are and meeting them where they are and converting them there. So that's sort of number one. Kind of, I think what's really important also, if you think about AI tools and even like leveraging AI, and it's like funny how much this is coming around for me, but, you talk about process. Just talked about strategy. If you think about AI tools and this future that's coming quickly where AI is going to be able to just do work for us, it's only going to be able to do work for us when it understands what the strategy is. It has clear processes to follow. It has clear context in terms of who the customer is, what's important to them, what information they need, how your stuff satisfies their information, right? And then you can make it hum. Then you can make it work. But if your information's a mess, you're just spraying and praying, you're doing a shotgun approach, the AI is just going to accelerate you in the wrong directions really quickly. It's going to really not be great for you. So everything we've been talking about at CIPR Communications, I feel like for the last decade, Christina, is becoming more important and more true over time with this AI revolution, which is really fascinating. And then the last thing I'll finally say is you really need to take a systems thinking approach, right? So to your point of like, okay, it's important for us to meet our people on LinkedIn. Okay, well, and then we want to try to get them into our database, and then we want to get them into our CRM to do some marketing on email or maybe SMS, right? So it's actually a system that you need to build to reach and convert your clients, right? So it's not just sort of like one thing and hope or spray and pray and put all of them. It's like actually be thoughtful, systematic, and build systems around your customers that can help you convert them effectively, right? So yeah, it's sort of it's a complicated world out there. There's lots of work to do. Company like CIPR Communications, all we do is obsess about all of this over all day, every day, and we have a lot of subject matter experts that obsess about their little piece of it, and then Christina, as our integrator, brings it all together. So that's kind of the value of working with an agency versus I'll just throw this out there. You're hiring one person to try to handle all of this. Well, good luck with that, right? So I think that to me, the sweet spot is actually that one person working with an agency. That is actually where brands can really make some magic happen. So that's my little salesy pitch at the end of this. But thanks for your time, guys. Appreciate the conversation.
Well, there you have it. That's a wrap on this episode of the Digital PR Show, where the future is digital and so are we. Make sure you subscribe or catch us on socials at CIPR Comms or on the web at CIPRcommunications.com. Talk soon.